to not consider one of them. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Your Worship. Item 1, bylaw numbers 4248 and 4249, 2011, relating to the property at 1100 Woolridge Street. The staff recommendation is that Council give second and third readings to City of Coquitlam Citywide Official Community Plan Amendment Bylaw number 4248, 2011. I do have to read the bylaws separately for this one.
Moved by Councillor Reamer, seconded by Councillor Nicholson. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Second, that Council give second and third readings to City of Coquitlam.
If you wouldn't mind, we'll let Councillor Asmundson. Same. Sorry, you're right.
Second part of the recommendation is that Council give second and third readings to City of Coquitlam Zoning Amendment Bylaw number 4249, 2011.
Moved by Councillor Robinson, second by Councillor Reamer. All in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously again. And now, Councillor Asmundson will declare.
Yes, just once again, since this is in close proximity to my home, I'll have it could be a perceived potential conflict, so I'll be stepping out on this. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Item number 2, bylaw number 4247, 2011, relating to the properties at 1267 Soball Street and 3446 Gislason Avenue. The staff recommendation is that Council give second and third readings to City of Coquitlam Zoning Amendment Bylaw number 4247, 2011.
Moved by Councillor McDonnell, second by Councillor Reamer. All in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. I'll bring back
Councillor
Asmundson.
Item 3, bylaw number 4252, 2011, relating to the property at 1188 Pinetree Way. The recommendation is that Council give second and third readings to City of Coquitlam Zoning Amendment Bylaw number 4252, 2011. It should be that Council gives second, third, and fourth and final readings.
Moved by Councillor Reamer, second by Councillor Nicholson, second, third, and fourth. All in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously.
Item 4, bylaw number 4253, 2011, for the properties at 626 and 630 Como Lake Avenue. Staff recommendation is that Council give second and third readings to City of Coquitlam Zoning Amendment Bylaw number 4253, 2011.
So moved.
Moved by Councillor Sikora, second by Councillor Reamer. All in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously.
Item 5, bylaw numbers 4250 and 4251, 2011, relating to a number of properties on Highland Drive, Coast Meridian Road, and Dayton Street. The staff recommendation is that Council give second and third readings to City of Coquitlam Citywide Official Community Plan Amendment Bylaw number 4250, 2011. And thank you.
Moved by Councillor Sikora. Second by Councillor Reamer. Councillor Asmundson.
Thank you very much. I had asked staff once before in regards to the issues that were raised about parking within this, and as it comes for the development permit stage, to see if there's any way of increasing the amount of parking that's within this development site, because there is concerns in the neighborhood of the overflow parking going out there, and I think we would just have a good look at the DP stage on what we can do and deal with that concern that was raised tonight on that issue. And once again, the other issue, I was asked staff to review the parking standards in the northeast with the road widths to see if there's a possibility of having wider roads for greater parking on roads in the future parts of the development. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Robinson.
Thank you. I too want to comment on the parking. My parents actually live in a complex in Vancouver that sort of has similar style in terms of these mini little parking pads. And even though my Mini can fit just about anywhere, I used to have a van because I had little kids, just as Miss Marsden had sort of, or I think it was Miss Klopp who spoke to it. And one of the things that we do is we park across the pad. So in effect, it's not space for two vehicles vertically along it, but horizontally. And it works quite well. And certainly in this project, there's never been, in the 25 years that my folks have lived there, parking has never been an issue. There's always been sufficient. There's on-street parking on if you're not in the internal roads, and from what I can tell, that's never been an issue. It's always been sufficient parking. So I think that this is similar in that respect.
Thank you. Councillor Reid.
Thank you. Two things with parking. One, if they were townhouses, they can't have secondary suites. That's just something I thought, Ms. Martin, I'm not sure she's aware of this. But they have provided 60 extra parking stalls over what is required. So I think that's fairly decent. I agree that we should try and extend parking aprons if we can outside. But in this case, they've provided another 60 parking spots over and above what we're asking for. Now, I too agree. Well, you guys know my parking. I'm a real bear for parking. So perhaps we should talk to engineering about their skinny roads and make them wider. And, we should, I believe that we should look at the parking as we go. We've got a new Partington Creek area coming up, and maybe we should be taking a look at road widths and things like that, because we're learning as we go. But I like this development. I think it's going to be a very good one. There is a covenant on it, so I think that protects most of the things that they were concerned about. So I will support it.
Skinny roads make good neighbors.
Pardon?
No, never mind.
What did you say?
Nothing. I said nothing, Councillor Reid. Are there any other speakers? Seeing none. It's second and third. All in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously.
Second part of the recommendation is that council gives second and third readings to City of Coquitlam zoning amendment bylaw number 4251, 2011.
Moved by Councillor Robinson, second by Councillor Reamer. All in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously.
Item 6, bylaw number 4259, 2011 for the property related at 2080 United Boulevard, the casino. Staff recommendation is that council gives second and third readings to City of Coquitlam zoning text amendment bylaw number 4259, 2011.
Move recommendation.
Second.
Moved by Councillor Reamer, seconded by Councillor Asmussen. Councillor Asmussen wants to speak.
Thank you very much. I will be voting in favor of this application. I think it's an application that is going to add to the vibrancy and the job market in Coquitlam. I think it's going to be a strong piece to this city. The other issue is I have, as I've said this before, when the application came once before for a 21-story and it's now down to an 11-story, is that council doesn't regulate competition in business. That's not our rule. We don't regulate that Tim Hortons couldn't come in here or that other large operations that have a certain advantage couldn't come in here and operate. So that, to me, is not our rule. This is going to create jobs. It's going to create more hotel space and a different type of hotel space that we don't have in this city at this present time. And I think it'll add to the vibrancy. I like the idea of a cabaret coming into this. I think we lack certain nightlife entertainment for the people in Coquitlam. I think this is a perfectly located place for it in an industrial area, and surrounding, no residential is really surrounding it, so I think it is a very good area. There's good security on site by the hotel for a cabaret. I think it just is a good spot for it, so I would hopefully encourage, as you move along through this, I'd like to see an application for that. I think that's a benefit for our city and the community as that extra type of entertainment and for us within the city. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Sikora.
Yeah, thank you very much. There'll be, we're talking about jobs. Okay, there'll be jobs gained and there'll be jobs lost. There's no such thing that some new business comes in and they're going to take away from the other businesses. So there'll be layoffs and that. So you really don't know what the gain and going to be jobs and the losses. Because definitely, I was in the hotel business for years. And when we built the hotel on Marine Drive, we took a lot of business from other hotels. And that's the way it is. And they have to lay off their staff because another hotel comes along, and that's the way it is in the marketplace. The one thing that I'll tell you, when you approve this hotel, one thing you'll be sure that if you're looking for a hotel in our town center, as Mr. Snisha, our lands manager, look for a hotel site in the Coquitlam Center, you can kiss that hotel goodbye for 15 or 20 years. And that's what council wants. That's one thing that you have to be sure, that there be not another hotel built for at least 15 or 20 years. And mark my word, because nobody will come in and with another hotel being built here. So, those are things that we have to really, Mayor, look at. How important it is a hotel to us in Coquitlam Center, right next to our sports fields, or intersection like the Park and Ride, or where Chrysler is dealership. Those ideal places for hotels. But here we are. We're going to approve this one. There's no two ways about that. It'll be approved. And I think that, again, I know Councillor Doug McDonnell says we need a hotel in the town center, and I agree with him in the worst way because of our sports facilities. Right next to our sports facility, we draw a great tourist trade. So, and then again, the people are not going to, the soccer players, the kids will not stay in this hotel. Not because it's pricey and that type of thing, but I don't know if the parents would want their kids to stay in a casino, and that type of deal. Not that it's something criminal or anything like that, but the perception of it is there. So, that's all I can really say. I myself personally, if this hotel was being built in the Coquitlam Center, I'd really be very, very happy, but it's not. So, the cabaret is something that bothers me. That's all of a sudden this cabaret creeped up again, and I'm totally opposed to cabarets. I was in hotel business for many, many years, and I remember taking over a hotel in Richmond that had a cabaret. And after a couple of days, I closed it down. Cabarets are nothing but problems, today and any other day. The one on Brunette Avenue seems to be running properly, but I remember years ago we had problems with that one, and it's management that's got a lot of things to do with it, whether the place runs properly or not. So those are things that I think they're against this, but however, I'm not going to object to it.
No, sorry, thank you. Councillor Nicholson.
Thank you, Your Worship. I won't be supporting this. First of all, and the least compelling reason is one of the ones Councillor Sikora just referred to. I want a hotel in our city centre. I think it's essential to the development of any city centre, and I think approving a hotel down in Pacific Reach will delay that development for far longer than any of us would want it to. But the compelling reason, and I'm a CA, and tonight that means consistent accountant. These are the same reasons that I gave a few years ago. I did not want a casino in my community when it first came here. I'd still prefer that we not have a casino in our community, and I'm not prepared to vote for anything that supports or prolongs the existence of a casino in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Reid, Chair of the Land Use.
Thank you. I will support it. And the reason I'll support it is because and Doug's going to love this, we're happening. We've got to be a happening city. We've got to be vibrant. We've got to start moving. We're a large city. We're not a small, tiny little city anymore. And we've got to grow. And if the sports tourism and the kids won't stay at the casino, and probably rightly not, they're going to have lots of other hotels to stay at. So there is going to be other business. And as our economic development officer, we are looking for other hotels in the town center. And that kind of hotel that we'll build in the town center won't preclude what's going to be happening at the casino. It's a different space. I call it convention space, you call it conference or meeting space. Whatever it is, we need it. I can't tell you how many people will approach me about having a conference or meeting. We just don't have that big a space, and we definitely need it. I think that some of the businesses in Richmond, and I had a long talk with Mr. Little, whom I've known for many years. My daughter actually had her wedding reception at your hotel, and it's a beautiful place. And one of the things that some of the hotel folks in Richmond were telling me is, they had great concerns in the beginning, but they get a lot of overflow business. They get a lot of overflow business from the River Rock. There's lots of folks that come in and may want to stay and gamble and have dinner, but they want to go somewhere else where it's quiet and not necessarily just hang around at the River Rock. and I guess it's a little more reasonable to leave the River Rock and go to other hotels as well. So I don't see why we wouldn't want to approve this. We have a huge city geographically. It's very spaced out. So I would see that a hotel on that end of the city, which complements the casino, and we already have a little cabaret there already, Lou. It's already over in the corner.
It's not a cabaret.
Okay, it's not a cabaret. It's where people go and dance and drink and dine. It's not a cabaret, but it's a little corner. We're not talking about the Prohibition years here. But it's already there, and it's being utilized. And I think that if we're going to have another or a larger cabaret, it's going to be great. It's going to be great. I think it's going to be a good facility, and I think there's room for everybody in this city. We have a large city, and we have a lot of territory to fill, and I'm looking forward to this. So thank you.
Thank you. I've had myself on the list. I've had lots of opportunities over the last couple of years waiting for this proposal to eventually come back in some form because we thought it would. We knew that the application by the casino a number of years ago for a hotel wasn't put to bed. It was simply delayed because of economic reasons, and we knew it would come back. In the course of that time, as I do wherever I go, I talk to business people, and some of them were hoteliers. Every chance I had when I was speaking with a hotelier, I would raise the question of a hotel in our city center. I was always up front with them saying that there is an application for a hotel at the casino on next to Fort Man Bridge, and to a person, not one of them actually said, well, that would preclude us considering a hotel in the town center. They knew that these were different markets. They knew they were completely different locations, but a hotel next to the freeway adjacent to a casino was a different type of installation than one in our city center would be. It would be a different market. So and in fact recently, even in light of this application, I've had people express interest in our city center, knowing that Evergreen Line is coming and knowing the plans that we have in our city center. And some of those interests were hotel interests, and I don't share that fatal position that we wouldn't be able to attract them. I think we will be able to, and we're going to do everything necessary to get hotel space in our city center. Best Western is a great facility. My wife and I'll be more careful the way I put this time. Last time I embarrassed my wife. When we were young people dating, we occasionally went to Best Western's restaurants. To the restaurants at Best Western. And enjoyed the facilities at the restaurant at the Best Western.
I bet.
And we've been to banquets. Of course, we've all been to banquets and events at the Best Western and thoroughly enjoyed the facilities. I'm glad they're part of our community. And I think we will also be very glad when this hotel is part of our community. I think it provides the kind of wow that goes along sorry, I've stolen Councillor Reid's wow factor. But I'll borrow it for a moment because I think that we're trying to create that impression as we come across the new bridge into Coquitlam that you've arrived someplace. And I look at the plans and the mock-up, the drawings, and the model that we were able to see at one point, and see something that I think truly does reflect a different approach. It's brand new. It provides a face to Coquitlam. And I would love to see the word Coquitlam on that because I think some people don't understand as they drive along the freeway the various communities they go through. But in the end, I think it will provide some great tourism opportunities that aren't related to the sports tourism. I think there are elements that will be, but whenever teams come here, quite often parents show up and aren't staying with the team and may well choose some of our other hotels. But in the end, I think this opportunity that is presented here is enormous. I share Councillor Nicholson, I've said it often, I've shared Councillor Nicholson's reticence for us having a casino. We have one, and Coquitlam gets a great many benefits from having a casino. And I don't think this necessarily expands those benefits in any way that's negative. I think it expands the benefits without expanding necessarily the harmful side of gaming. So I'm comfortable with this application. I didn't hear anything new tonight that makes me uncomfortable. I think Mr. Little's comments, though, did reflect some of the things we have still to work on. And I commit that we'll continue to work on those issues to make sure that our tourism opportunities in Coquitlam benefit all of the hotels, and that we will encourage more hotels because we will have more tourism opportunities and more tourists wanting to stay here. Councillor Robinson.
Thank you. I actually did hear something new this evening that we hadn't talked about previous, and that was about the spin-off business that comes from having this hotel. It hasn't been part of the formula that we looked at, and so I really appreciated one of the speakers talked about how it would impact him and his business, and I think that when we look at these things, we ought to be looking at the bigger picture a little bit more in terms of what that means, rather than just the direct jobs. And so that was really useful to hear. I too, I think that this is an iconic piece. It is the entrance to our city, and I think it's, you know, I remember what you knew that you arrived at Coquitlam when you smelled the dump.
Yeah, I remember that.
Right, and that's how you knew you arrived at Coquitlam, and I think it's time that we grew up and that we saw the potential in our city, and so I see this as a part of our growing up, our early adulthood, so to speak. We've officially reached an age where we're happen in May. So just a couple of other things I want to speak to that has to do with the sports strategy and the tourism strategy, and that's that. Do you know that women's adult hockey is like one of the biggest growing sports? And they're interested in staying in a place like this. And I think that we keep thinking of sports tourism as children. And I think actually if you take a look at the baby boomers and the amount of money they have to spend and the kinds of activities that they're doing and the sports activities and the cycling activities, they have a whole lot of opportunity to come and spend money in our city. And I think that this will help us get there. I also believe in abundance, not scarcity, and I appreciate Mr. Little's concern for his business. It's heartfelt and it's understanding, but I also believe that his business will benefit from this. I think that as a fundraiser, I learned very early on that when you start to compete for those precious fundraised dollars with other fundraisers, you actually wind up shooting yourself in the foot. That you're always better off to work together and collaboratively with people in the same business because you're all richer for that. So I actually think it's going to, and maybe I'm a bit of an optimist, but it's gotten me this far, and my life experience has told me that actually works better. So I am going to support this because I think everybody will benefit as a result of this hotel coming to our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Lynch.
Thank you. Well, I almost feel like it's somewhat unfortunate that we've had to go through this process a second time. I think that the arguments against and the arguments for are very similar to what they were before. And I'm swayed by the argument that the clientele for the new hotel, the casino, will be significantly different. There'll be a different clientele there. And I do believe there'll be an overflow of business that will help the rest of the communities, including the hotel business in the city. I like the idea that there's going to be more jobs, and there may be some that are lost, but I think overall it's a net positive impact on the community, and I like that. When you're looking through things, you see there's no change to the citywide OCP or to the zoning. And the concern over the cabaret, I'm not overly concerned because it talks about in the report that future council approval process for the liquor primary license would happen. As Mr. Blank already said, there is and I'll call it a cabaret. I've been there, I've enjoyed it, I know what it is. And they're talking about this one would be a multi-use space that would be used for, well, basically be a lounge in the evenings for most evenings. So for all the arguments that I've heard previously and today, I still feel that this is positive for the city. We do, I believe, need another hotel. This is an amenity that we don't currently have. It's not in the city center, and like the mayor, I'm not sure that this is going to be a negative impact. I think that future people looking to locate a hotel in the city of Coquitlam will still look favorably at a process that happens in our city center. And And I do understand the concerns by the other restaurants in the city, and I agree that we should be doing whatever we can to assist them. And I think that also the casino will be promoting other hotels in the community, saying, well, you know, if we're full or you're looking for something just a little better rate, then check out the rest of the hotels in our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Reamer.
Thank you. We are a growing community, and our city is going to change in ways that probably none of us can even imagine at this particular point. I love the Best Western Hotel. I spend much time there as a member of the community. I think it's a wonderful facility. Having said that, things are changing, and we are going to need greater hotel space. I was very convinced by the lady from PKF Consulting who indicated to us that the clients at the Best Western may well be different than the clients we're going to have at this new hotel. And I think that's the same case with our sports tourism strategy. If we have a hotel in the town center area, it may well serve a different clientele as well. So I think there is lots of spin-off business. We had two businesses here tonight, a taxi business and Go West RV, which are both going to experience significant business as a result of this casino hotel. I just want to speak about the casino. They've been absolutely wonderful corporate citizens in our community. I see their staff everywhere I go in the community. They've made significant contributions with respect to our nonprofits and our business community. They have also been wonderful and exemplary citizens. So I just wanted to note that. The other thing I wanted to note is I really do understand the concern of the employees of the Best Western and the uncertainty that they are facing over this next period of time whilst this new hotel is being built. However, I think they would probably agree that government can't regulate the market, and we certainly should be staying out of the marketplace. And so it's in that capacity as well that I think that we have to let this go ahead, and the market will determine who is successful and who is not. So I will be supporting this application. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor McDonnell.
Thank you. I appreciate Mr. Little's concerns, and I share some of them. However, I support this recommendation, and I'm going to vote for it. This hotel and complex there is a destination, and certainly I don't think that this complex is going to be taking away from other areas of Coquitlam. In fact, I think it's going to be a benefit to Coquitlam that people will come and stay in this hotel and get out to visit other parts of it. You know, we went through a forum with 50 invited movers and shakers from Coquitlam who put on our big events and put on our big tournaments, and everyone I spoke with and everyone who wrote comments were unanimous in their desire to see more hotel space. Also, there was a great desire to see us move towards, in Coquitlam, to have more destination attractions. This is a destination attraction, and again, I think people will see this as a huge benefit to Coquitlam, and that people will come and they will stay at this hotel for whatever reasons that they have, whether it's for a convention or whether it's just for entertainment value. But they're also going to look for other things to do in Coquitlam, which will only help our event tourism strategy. So I don't think this is a negative at all. I'm very supportive. I'm very pleased to be supporting this application.
Okay. No other speakers? The question is second and third reading. All in favor? All opposed? Councillor Nicholson is opposed. Councillor Secor is opposed. The motion carries.
We do have an additional item on tonight's agenda.
Before we do that, it was almost 3 years ago that we last gave this project second and third reading. This time, could you build it? Sorry. Madam Clerk.
Last item on the agenda is an item that was referred from the Land Use and Economic Development Standing Committee meeting, which took place earlier today, in relation to the notification of proposed amendments to the Metro Vancouver Regional Growth Strategy. And the recommendation from the committee is that Council support Greater Vancouver Regional District Regional Growth Strategy Amendment Bylaw number 1150-2011.
Moved by Councillor Reamer and Councillor Robinson, seconded by Councillor Nicholson. Reedson. Any discussion? Absolutely not. All in favor? Opposed? Carried with enthusiasm. Councillor Asmundson moves adjournment. Councillor Sikora seconds. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you all for coming.